Rahul Shivshankar, who has more details on what Prime Minister Netanyahu has said. He has thanked Prime Minister Modi for his support and the support of the Indian people. Yes, Rahul.
Yeah, thanks indeed, Zaka. We're getting news that Netanyahu, who was addressing his nation from that site that was devastated a little earlier, has come out and also thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi for standing with Israel in this hour of need. Now, this feeds back into, of course, the visit that the Prime Minister undertook a few days ago to Israel. In fact, on pretty much a day or two before the strikes took place on Iran, the decapitation strikes, which are really euphemism for the preemptive strikes there. But what we're also being told is that this particular issue might have then come up for discussion. That is what we're being told, and that the entire scenario was discussed. And if you remember, the Prime Minister himself had said that in his speech before the Knesset, he had come out and said that India backs Israel's right to defend itself. If you remember that statement that was made, which was received with wide applause, which was seen back here in India as some sort of an affirmation of Israel's goals to perhaps even participate in strikes against Iran alongside US President Donald Trump. And that's exactly how things have actually played out. And Netanyahu coming out and saying that I'm grateful for the Indian Prime Minister's support, for standing with us, which will only add to the impression that India has picked sides in this contest. Remember, that's the principal accusation that is being made against Prime Minister Modi here in India by the opposition and by other critics of his administration. So quite clearly, there is now going to be an obvious political implication drawn from these statements, and it could lead to a little bit of hot water being poured over the stand that has been taken by India so far. Remember, India has not condemned either Israel or the Americans for taking action against Iran. And the kind of action that we've seen amounted really not to a preemptive strike, but much more than that. And it's turning out that there was an inclination from the very beginning to undertake some sort of a regime change. So if that's really the case, as the Congress points out, it goes against various statutes of the Indian Constitution. Of course, all of this is politics, it's also optics, it's symbolism, because the government has come back and said at various points in time that very few countries have actually condemned the United States and Israel. In fact, the leading economies of the world, the developed powers, have all either kept quiet or they have backed both America and Israel for the action it has taken. So that's really the shape of things to come. We're expecting a bite very soon. We can play that out.
All right, let's in fact play out what Benjamin Netanyahu said on Prime Minister Modi and his support. In fact, they also spoke just yesterday on the phone right after the news came out of Israel carrying out those preemptive strikes and killing Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. This is what Benjamin Netanyahu said.
Prime Minister, you spoke to the Indian Prime Minister.
Yes, I did.
Yes. Can you say a word?
Yes, I spoke.
How was the meeting, sir?
I spoke to our great friend, Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Spoke to him at length yesterday. Thanked him for his standing with Israel, standing for the truth, and for the enormous friendship of the people of India. They are much admired and loved in Israel, and I won't get into the details of the conversation, but I've spoken to him and I've spoken to many other leaders in the region and beyond. Thank you.